Dear patriots, since the day President Trump was elected, we all have been witnessing an unprecedented collective and continuous attacks on him and his family, censorship, verbal and physical attacks on conservatives and Republicans, and numerous attempts of inciting a racial war to further divide us. Make no mistake, none of this is organic or coincidental. There has been a plan that was set in motion decades ago with a very sinister goal. You might think I am just an out-of-touch conspiracy theorist. Unfortunately, I wish I were. This plan has been trending on Twitter for weeks now, even though there's a great pressure on the mainstream and social media outlets to suppress it. Let me paint the big picture first, then bring it into focus as we go into details. Bear in mind that everything I say can be searched and verified. I encourage you to do so. I also need you all to talk about it on and off of social media. The more people are aware of this plan, the better the chance we have in stopping it. The plan is, as the late President George H. Bush referred to it, a New World Order. Today, the World Economic Forum refers to it as the Great Reset. We all heard of globalization, a one world government, a one currency, one religion. This idea has seeped into cultures through music and films, and through promoting mass illegal immigration and refugee migration from third world countries into the West. The United Nations, with the Pope's blessings and funding, has set into motion an agenda with a deadline to be followed by all nations without the ability of opting out under the guise of global warming, which has been renamed as climate change, promoting equality, equity, inclusion under the umbrella of social justice. Do not let these words fool you. The last thing on these psychopaths' minds is everyone's prosperity. We began to see the true colors of this agenda the day President Trump spoke about building a wall on the southern border. Then we witnessed the effects of the unvetted refugees into Europe and Canada. While President Trump's America First slogan ignited a patriotic fire in the heart of Americans, it caused a huge setback in the UN's agenda. Thus, the globalist goalpost was moved and the plan name changed from Agenda 21 to Agenda 2030. Trump's base support grew larger and larger as his policies proved his intent on making America great again. Even with the fake Russia collusion and impeachment efforts, the fake news media's continuous slandering and disrespect of the president and demonizing his supporters, the crowds in his rallies kept growing larger and larger. A strong bond has been created that terrified the globalists and hindered their plans to achieving the UN nations' sustainable development goals. There is nothing sustainable in their agenda. It is a complete annihilation of the middle class, a wealth transfer from the hand of the many to the hands of the few. It is a communist ideology straight out of the depth of hell. People who wonder why the media's aggressive campaign against a president so loved by the people think it is a cult. What they fail to realize is that the president spoke our language. He did not backstab the people and outsource their jobs to foreign nations. They made him to start a nuclear war, yet peace plans were signed in the Middle East. The ground rumbles in his rallies with over 50,000 people chanting, "We love you." George Soros spoke in Davos early last year and did not hold back when talking about the US president, describing him as a con man, an ultimate narcissist, and as the fate of the world is riding on the elections of 2020. We can realize what is going on here. This is not about COVID-19. This is about a reset of everything, and the United States of America is in the way. They want to destabilize the economy, not only in our country, but the entire world's economy. They want to reset its foundations politically and economically, to implement massive socialist programs with, of course, a global climate change along the lines of the Green New Deal. No country will be allowed to opt out of this. Why? If an individual country opts out, of the Great Reset, it will be endangering the whole world, according to them. Pope Francis had announced a global economic reset of his own last year in mid of 2019, almost as if Francis knew about the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting economic collapse that will follow.
Down with the New World Order!
That's right. They made a mistake by trying to get President Trump on their side. They invited him to Davos a couple of times, but when he attended in January, I think he really began to see the beast that he was up against. He spoke at Davos to the World Economic Forum, and he stuck a MAGA middle finger in their faces, saying this, and I quote, "We are committed to conserving the majesty of God's creation and the natural beauty of our world. But to embrace the possibilities of tomorrow, we must reject the perennial prophets of doom and their predictions of the apocalypse. These alarmists always demand the same thing: absolute power to dominate, transform, and control every aspect of our lives. We will never let the radical socialists destroy our economy." End quote. 2 days after President Trump gave that speech, the 89-year-old leftist weirdo billionaire George Soros made an emergency intervention at Davos once again, warning that the US 2020 election will determine, quote, "the fate of the world." Pope Francis' representative, Jeffrey Sachs, had the same response as Soros, stating, quote, "The United States is a dangerous country right now. It will be absolutely dangerous if Trump wins re-election in 2020. He is danger to the world," end quote. Then shortly afterwards, Soros was back at the United Nations saying, quote, "Donald Trump is a temporary phenomenon that will disappear in 2020, end quote. You can see how much hate there is for President Trump, because he is a capitalist. He is not a globalist. He will never be one of them. Therefore, he pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Agreement. President Trump pulled the United States out of the World Health Organization. That's Bill Gates and company, by the way. And he was certainly recently threatening to pull the United States out of the World Trade Organization. Sachs stated at the UN General Assembly, quote, "Routinely the votes are 185 against the United States on almost everything," end quote. "We always took a stand against these globalists." President Trump was speaking at the United Nations Assembly in November of 2019 again, right before COVID-19 landed. President Trump stood tall at the center of the General Assembly and declared war on globalism, saying this, and I quote, "Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots," end quote. Shortly after the speech at the UN, the coronavirus was unleashed on the world, and President Trump's booming US economy went on life support. These psychopaths who pretend to care about our common home in reality hate you. They abort babies by the millions all over the world. They do not care about your grandma. In fact, if you want to save your grandma, tell globalists to stay the hell away from her. The main goal of the game was to bring the United States economy to its knees. They wanted the US to get out of the way to accomplish the Great Reset. They will make the new normal so intolerable and abnormal that even you and I, maybe at some point in the near future, will be begging for a vaccine. We will be driven crazy to the point that we will be begging for whatever else is going to keep us safe, according to our handlers. You see, that is what they want. That is why they keep us using this term, new normal. We must fight back. We must go back to work, go back to school. And if you are healthy, take off the mask. And for heaven's sake, go back to church and pray that the Supreme Court will rule in President Trump's favor. As much divide as we see in our nation today, I am standing here imploring the Democrats and the people on the left side of the aisle to put your feelings to the side for once and take a good look at the big picture. It is not about Trump, it's about our future. The United States is the last frontier. The world is looking up for us for inspiration. Many from around the world sent messages begging us not to give up. We inspire them to stand up in the face of this evil plan in defending basic human rights and freedoms. We must fight as hard as President Trump fought hard for us, if not harder. Talk about the Great Reset with your friends and family. Tell co-workers and people you see on the streets, at the stores. Our only chance of destroying this evil communist takeover is by exposing it and exposing its key players in the government, media, Silicon Valley, and Big Pharma. We will not go down without a fight. We will not hide behind a mask. We will make America great again. And God willing, we will keep America great over and over and over again. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you so much. So you guys,